What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be giving you guys my ranking of the Flash's main villains. So with the conclusion of The Flash Season 9, we now have 18 main villains, or at least 18 characters I would consider to be main villains. So yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and get right in to number 18, and the worst main villain on this list, and, you know, of The Flash as a whole, and that, in my opinion, is Speed Force Nora. I just think she was absolutely terrible in the Force's storyline. Now, the one thing that she could have had going for her is that she does look just like Barry's mother, so that really could have appealed to the emotional side of Barry. But Barry only seemed to like acknowledge that she looks just like his mother for like one episode, and then she was just a villain for like 4 episodes, and he just completely forgot about that. So other than that, there's nothing going for Speed Force Nora. She was cringe. The acting by the actress is great for Nora Allen, but just terrible for a villain. So Speed Force Nora, in my opinion, is the worst main villain on The Flash. Coming in at number 17, I have the Negative Forces. They, of course, were toward the end of The Flash Season 8, and they were just really boring, and they just made all the Forces stuff even more confusing, and also they just told Thawne that Thawne didn't create the Negative Speed Force. They just told that to him. So you're telling me Thawne went from creating the Negative Speed Force to just being an avatar of it, which I don't know. That just like cancels out the entire Season 7 storyline with Barry needing to create his own Speed Force because Thawne created his own Speed Force. So they're just saying that a Season 8 storyline cancels out a Season 7 storyline. So yeah, the Negative Forces weren't really threatening. They were just confusing. So coming in at number 16, I have Red Death, and Red Death is probably the most cringe villain on this list, I will have to say. Without the mask on, Red Death is just terrible, like just awful. I don't understand how a villain could be that bad. With the mask on, Red Death is mid at best, sort of threatening, I guess. The suit, while comic accurate, is very bulky and just stupid. The actress that played her is just terrible at acting, especially for a villain. Maybe she's not that bad at, you know, acting Batwoman, but the Red Death is just awful. So yeah, Red Death at number 16. At number 15, I have Godspeed. Now, both Godspeed and Red Death are it's very sad that they're this low on the list. Godspeed, you know, they're both extremely cringe, but, you know, the reason Godspeed is above Red Death, in my opinion, is just because Godspeed's suit looks really cool. I mean, it's almost comic book accurate, just missing the gold eyes. But yeah, I think Godspeed's suit does look cool. Everything else about Godspeed is just terrible. So yeah, Godspeed at number 15. Now, at number 14, I have Negative Reverse Flash, and Negative Reverse Flash is in the same boat as Godspeed and the Red Death. Terrible writing. The acting is just a tiny bit better, just because Tom Cavanaugh is a much better actor than the other 2 actors who play Red Death and Godspeed. But the Negative Reverse Flash, the only thing he really has going for him is his rivalry with the Flash when he, you know, was the Negative Reverse Flash, because that was still pretty good, even though the writing was terrible, the acting wasn't that good, and the fight scenes were just awful. But yeah, Negative Reverse Flash, really, really bad. Definitely the Reverse Flash's worst storyline on the show, and the costume also just looks terrible. So now at number 13, and who used to be my least favorite main villain, but after rewatching, rewatching this season rather, I don't actually think he's as bad as the characters I just listed, and that is CICADA. Now, he does have a really cringe voice, or I guess the writing and acting for the character was really cringe. But, you know, starting off in, like, you know, the first 5 episodes or so, he was a very threatening villain. He was a very good villain. But, you know, as time went on, he just became less and less threatening, especially when we saw that, you know, Frost was just immune to his dagger. So yeah, CICADA just became a terrible, non-threatening villain at all. And yeah, like I said, now that we've seen Season 9, he's much better compared to characters like Godspeed and Red Death, which is the only reason he's at number 13. So at number 12, I have Cicada 2, aka Grace Gibbons. Now, of course, Cicada 1 was Orlin Dwyer, the one that just stopped being threatening. The only thing that Cicada 2 has better than, you know, normal Cicada is that she is way more threatening. And that's literally it. That's really it. She didn't really have the best acting, the best writing, the best storyline. So yeah, Cicada 2, the only thing she has better than Cicada 1 is just she's more threatening. Now 11 is Mirror Monarch, and the reason she's this high is just because she had such a long storyline and was clearly, I guess, a dedicated villain, but she is extremely boring. She's not threatening at all besides, maybe just a little bit in Season 7, only because Barry didn't have his speed, but then, Barry got his speed thinking ability, and she just became the least threatening villain, or one of the least threatening villains the show has ever seen. So yeah, Mirror Monarch, still a really bad villain. All the villains I've said so far have been bad, none of them being good just yet. Now, number 10, I have Cobalt Blue, and this is such a big miss for the show. While it was cool to see Eddie become a villain, he didn't get enough time as a villain and needed better writing and a better storyline. They just overall needed to put more effort into this villain because he could have been one of the best. His motivation was great in terms of why he was a villain. Eddie sacrificing his life, the Reverse Flash still coming back time and time again, and Barry stealing his girl. All of that just is such great motivation for a villain to become a villain, but they barely did anything with that, and Eddie was really only a villain for half an episode. So Cobalt Blue wasn't exactly the worst villain, just really was terrible writing and just didn't get enough time with the villain, but again, a huge miss for the Flash. Now, this is kind of the cutoff for where the villains start to not be terrible. So at number 9 is DEATHSTORM, and he was actually pretty good. He was really threatening, and he did look really cool. He was very scary as well, but it seemed like he was more of a villain for Frost instead of the Flash, which was a bit disappointing because I think if it was a Flash villain, I think that would have been really cool instead of, mainly focusing on Frost there. Now, Frost could have still, sacrificed her life to stop him, but I think that, the main fight scene should have at least had the Flash in it because, in the final fight scene, the Flash was just, at the computer watching Frost do her magic. So, yeah, that was kind of disappointing with DEATHSTORM right there, but nonetheless, he still was a pretty cool villain. Now, number 8, I have DESPERO. Now, he's not bad at all. He's pretty threatening, and I did like his storyline in Armageddon to start off Season 8, but he didn't appear that much and was sort of, overshadowed by the Reverse Flash starting on Episode 3 of Season 8, and that's really the only reason. They were going to do something, I believe, in Season 10 if they got a Season 10 with DESPERO, but obviously they didn't. So, yeah, DESPERO, while he is a pretty good villain, just didn't appear that much. So number 7, I have Reverse Flash from Armageddon. His master plan was great, switching roles with Barry and creating Reverse Flashpoint. Him also needing Barry's help in Season 8, Episode 5. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. He's a scientist from the future, yet he can't figure out how to stop himself from being erased from existence, and Barry, meanwhile, who is from the present, can? That is so stupid. Also, his yellow suit without vibrations looks awful. A lot of people actually like this. I don't know how that looks. I don't know how people think that looks good. That looks so stupid. If he had his vibrations, he would have made it a lot better. But yeah, Armageddon Reverse Flash at number 7. Now at number 6, I have the Thinker, and he's a lot better than I thought. He's an amazing villain after I've rewatched Season 4. The only real problem is that he body swapped for so long in Season 4, like 7 episodes or something like that, before we saw, the main actor for the Thinker. And I think if they had the main actor, they still could have done the body swapping storyline, but maybe for I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes. They didn't need to carry it on that long. So I think if they didn't carry on the body swapping stuff, I think he would have been maybe even top 3, because the Thinker was a really good villain when he was played by his main actor. So now at number 5, I have Season 5 Reverse Flash. His rivalry with Barry in this season was absolutely amazing. Thawne's master plan is also amazing with, using Nora to help Team Flash erase the dagger in the past, which, in turn would let him go free in the future from prison. He could have been way better. This would have been way better if he was played by Matt Letcher, but nonetheless, it was still pretty great acting from Tom Cavanaugh. So yeah, Season 5 Reverse Flash is definitely one of the best villains on the show. So now number 4 is SAVITAR, and like I've said, I think Savitar's a really underrated villain. He used to be apparently a bad villain, but now, after rewatching and watching The Flash Season 9, we realized that, Season 3 and Savitar were both taken for granted, and they're actually pretty good. His suit looks absolutely amazing. He's very threatening, with the knowledge that he'd one day kill Iris, all that in Season 3 leading up to the finale, where he, quote-unquote, did kill Iris was really great. And yeah, Savitar coming in at number 4. Now, number 3 is Bloodwork, and it's really hard to believe that this is an Eric Wallace villain. He's an amazing villain. He's super threatening, super scary. Even though he did have, I guess, 8 episodes, I really wish we did get more time with him. And, you know, of course, he did return in Season 9. His Season 9 return was great as well. But yeah, his storyline and, you know, his abilities especially make The Flash a great show and made, you know, the episodes he was in just fantastic. And yeah, Bloodwork comes in to start the top 3. So now at number 2, I have Zoom. He's definitely the most scary villain on this list, maybe even the most threatening, and I really think he had a shot to be number 1. If his Season 9 appearance was really good, then I probably would have put him at number 1, but it just was terrible. It was so cringe. So yeah, Zoom is still really scary. You know, when he returned in Season 2 and Season 5, he was great. But yeah, he's going to still sit here at number 2, in my opinion. And number 1 is Season 1 Reverse Flash, the villain of The Flash. His master plan was absolutely amazing in my opinion. You know, realizing that he's stuck in the year 2000, taking over Harrison Wells' body, pretending to help The Flash, only, you know, to reveal later that he's just using him so he can get back to the future, is a fantastic storyline, and I absolutely loved that in Season 1, and I just thought he was really threatening, and they really carried on, you know, that threat level during Season 1. So I think, you know, Season 1 Reverse Flash is the best villain on the show. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your ranking of your Flash main villains. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.